Okay, we're back here. It's almost time to get into that second matchup between NRG and CLG. We're going to see them go into Inferno.
Yeah. Inferno, obviously newer map in the map pool, still uncharted territory for a lot of teams. And I think you mentioned it, the fact that none of these teams really have that many matches. And I think NRG in their case don't have a single map registered, in an official game. I think it's safe to assume that they probably have practiced it because Inferno, being a crowd favorite, being a player favorite for a lot of teams with the old version, I think it's safe to assume that it is one of the maps that they want to keep in their pool.
That's a breath of fresh air for some of these temes. Maybe you struggled on Dust 2.
Maybe you struggled on Overpass.
Yeah, there's some struggling going on there. But like maybe you get a chance at resetting or redoing the whole thing there on Inferno.
Yeah, especially again if you were a weaker Dust 2 team, you're probably praising everything you can praise at this point because of the re-entry of Inferno. And I'm just really optimistic about the map in general. Like the remake seems to be an improvement. I actually really like it. And I want to see more of it. I want to see what teams come up with if they, once they start going away from playing it the way the old style Inferno was played as well. When they start innovating and figuring out new stuff, it's going to be really fun to watch kind of the progression of that map.
Well, the progression here is NRG and CLG.
Yeah.
We just saw CLG just
flunder away a victory.
It really just did not come together for them there.
It really didn't.
But
and
within this matchup, though, can we expect the same storyline?
Honestly, we've seen them play Inferno once in Pro League versus Misfits, and honestly, they didn't play poorly even on that map. And I think Dace mentioned it as well. Like Cutler and FNS, obviously, like the older core of CLG, were always good on Inferno in the past as well. So they have an idea of how to play the map, right? It's not like it's going to be something completely foreign to them. And I think one of the benefits they have in addition to that is that they've actually played a couple of official games on it, right? So they've been tested more against proper opponents than NRG.
Well, let's take a look at CLG over on Inferno, and to do that, we've got Eric DeBear Stromberg standing by.
Thank you, Vendetta, Blaze, and everybody out there. Welcome back to Stromberg Strategies. We're going to take a look at Nadi in the A-bomb site of Inferno as at this round, he's playing behind the site. He's playing behind the box. These boxes are very annoying. It's almost like shooting iron. They don't do that much damage straight on, especially with an op. But right now, you see Nadi. He's holding this angle. I like this angle particularly because if they smoke on top of a haystack, he could just spray right through the angle that they walk through. Maybe he gets lucky. Who knows? But this round, he sees Smoke's pit. They probably know it's an A-take. He tosses Molotov right in front of the cart to kind of stall them a little bit as FNS gets in position, Colors in pit. As soon as they start seeing, hearing people, he pops up, gets a kill. He gets 2 kills. Nadi gets taken out, but his job's done. He baited well, got 2 kills. It ends up in 2-on-2. This round, as you see right here, this jump is not easy to make. Unless you're a KZ master, that takes a lot of practice, especially in a match situation where maybe a little nervous, maybe lots on the line. But again, we see this jump, and this round particularly, we saw it last week how as Misfits smoked and started taking the site, Nadi, instead of playing the superhero role, he falls back, he leaves it awesome spot to play with the team. Because, again, it's better to play with your team than to be a solo mission. It's about teamwork. It's a team game. As you see, Nadi and Cutler gets 2 kills. They still stay behind the smoke. They don't just push through the smoke. They don't get any urges. It's kind of, he's hopping around. He's listening. By them playing the pit, it forces Misfits to play in weird angles in sight. As you see, Shazam's in a bad spot. He's look constantly back and forth behind him. He gets taken about FNS, and as soon as Nadi's teammates close in, they take the site, close together, and not only did they win the round, they only use 1 person in the process. So in a long time, it's really good. Now this round, as you see, you saw Nadi in the site, you saw Nadi in the pit. Now he's playing the off angle. He's playing by the cart, and as those 2 people hopped out of the halls, they're accustomed to looking towards pit. There's usually always a person in pit. So nice change up by Ethan. Good job by CLG, and hopefully they do well. And watch out for Ethan. He's a monster. Back to you, Stunner.
Hey, appreciate you, Eric. Even though you left me out of your
shout out.
It's fine. Duly noted. I'll remember that next time I throw to you. So going into Inferno, between these two teams, and maybe even overall, like what can we expect to see on this new Inferno? Sort of like approaches to the meta. What is the proper approach over on T or CT side?
I mean, it's difficult to really know for sure what's going to be the optimal way of playing it. I think as a T, obviously, like getting banana control is still going to be a vital part, but the problem is how are you going to work around the fact that CTs actually have a good avenue for getting Molotovs down and nades down early, because obviously you don't want to run into that. You're going to be at 50 HP at most within 10 seconds into the round. So for CTs, I guess figuring out a good balance between how aggressive you play on the banana side. And over on the A side, I actually really like CLG's approach. A lot of the times, I think Cutler plays pit position very well. So if you're new to Inferno, want to learn how to play position, definitely check him out, how he solves that role. And you could see that even in Stromberg's replays there, you see how Nate and or Ethan and Cutler actually work together from that pit position. When all the smokes go down, everything's just a bit of a mess. How they actually work around with the environment to be efficient. I think that's pretty cool, and we're going to see more and more stuff like that. As we see more and more Inferno games, but that's a really good starting point, at least.
Well, at least let's keep it tied in here to CLG CT side. Do we expect to see the double op setup come out of them on this map, or is that going to be lesser of the effective?
I wouldn't be surprised if I saw it because both Ricky and Kusa can be efficient. They can move about as well, and the map in the past has allowed itself to play with two ops, but obviously one of the issues is how hard it's going to be to hold banana control and how easily mid is smoked off. So I'm hoping that we're going to see one op, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw two.
Okay, well, it's about that time, and to give it to you guys, it's going to be Blue and Dazed. Take it away, dudes.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. Dazed, are you ready to watch CLG again?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a good time last time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was funny.
Well, they are waiting just now for the unpause to come in on our signal here, so things should be getting started in a moment. But yes, indeed, it'll shift over to Inferno, and this, if my memory serves me correctly, will be only the second time we've seen it so far in the season on the main stream. Out of like 3 or 4 weeks, it could have possibly been shown in so far. So
Yeah, we saw CLG play it before. I can't remember who was against them.
I don't remember either, unfortunately.
Yeah, me either.
So,
but we'll see. I mean, a lot if they could fix those blunders, those mistakes that they're not anything where people are like doing anything really wrong. It's just you just don't look in the right spot and things like that.
Yeah.
So if they could fix that, they could definitely win and have a good chance to win. Especially because I from playing this map, I have played it pretty limited. I just think it's a lot more difficult to op on this map than it is other maps. Just
well, look at this now. CLG's going to try to crunch, but Breezy, beautiful entry shot here now. Destroys Ethan when he tries to move out. We do have the players coming on the backside. Good shots from Kusta, but hello from Peter as he just destroys Kusta and Cutler directly after that. FNS, however, is able to hold from one from, I believe, the new box position. But after everything is said and done and the chaos subsides, it's left to Ricky in a 1v3. Finds his first frag there, losing about 1/3 of his HP. Now he's going to have to go in and pick up 2 more as well. And with all the time he's given NRG, they've fallen back entirely. And now basically waiting over here inside of the church and way back over there from behind CT too. So Ricky, the problem is he's just going to waste a whole lot of time trying to check these usual positions on the site. And by the time he realizes that they are back in the new church and way back over there towards CT, it's going to be far too late and they'll be able to easily peek out against him here. So just tap him on the bomb. He does pick up the kit and he gets the first peek out from Breezy, but way down over there towards CT. Hasn't realized it. He's stuck onto it though. No, oh, Jesus. They do kill him just in time, but that was getting close.
Fugly is tough to see back there.
Yeah.
Did you see that spot? My goodness. So NRG picking up that pistol. I think Inferno is one of the easier maps to eco people on, though. There's so many close quarters, just around boiler, around halls. It's hard to know if they're stacked anywhere, right? You could have 4 mid and everybody could be hiding and then peek out when you actually take control. You could stack B. So a lot of places where you could actually be successful on eco rounds. So I think these are some of the harder rounds to win on Inferno. When somebody just has like a mag 7 and they could just make sure they get a kill in halls and things like that. It's one of those rounds where if you're a CT, you could broken by like really well on.
Well, in the second round, now with the broken by coming in from CLG themselves, they haven't tried to do anything super creative like we actually saw in that pistol round, where they were the ones that tried to play aggressively and crunch on energy, but it did kind of backfire. Now they're playing in a pretty much a standard opener here. Actually pretty focused on the sites. Nobody checking out towards the mid-choke point or anything like that. Finesse and Ricky both trying to play against this eventual B push that's going to be moving in. Problem is that they don't hold at least for the first 2 to 3 kills here. There is not going to be enough time for that rotate to swing back in. And the best hope they would have would be to try and position to try and frag out for exits here. With those guns still in hand, they may choose to save. Anyway, let's take a look and see how things will go as they do move in. Ricky takes the first battle. FNS really nowhere to be seen on the initial volume. While they get close to taking down a few players, no dice. So that will allow for all 5 to be alive on the take, and more than likely a save/exit positions to be taken up from the 3 remaining players on CLG.
Yeah, just default spots played by CLG. And they had a chance. I mean, if Ricky was able to do something with that deagle, maybe just kill one, hide, FNS gets the next, hides, and then kind of play it like that. But that first kill is just so important anytime you're playing a setup like that. And even if FNS gets that 1 kill, that's really all he's going to be able to get. So Marky coming up big, getting those 2 entries, gets him out of that round pretty cleanly. And we'll see. Doesn't look like any exits are even going to happen. Just Kusta might fight, Daps here.
So is able to go back in. Remember, you can still remain fully standing for like the other half of that tunnel now. So he's able to move back in. They take down Kusta after flushing him out, and the other 2, unfortunately, are pretty detached from all of this action here. So NRG do push forward. They get their second without much conflict and immediately into the lead. Although they are still going to have to go up against a couple more of those upgraded guns in this 3rd round, so it's not going to be scotch-free. They may end up losing 1 or 2 players here if they're not careful.
Yeah, and that's probably the most common anti-eco, is scouting out B on this map. The other one that you see, probably second most common, or one of the other most common ones, is an arch, with 4 people, 5 people. Somebody could watch porch in your back from Cubby pretty easily, and just kind of avoiding halls and whatnot. So those are the 2 most common anti-ecos that you see. CLG just going into a 5-man mid-stack now. But this isn't going to work because they're going to scout B first, it looks like. Even if they just send like 1 player in and just check it out, and then he should be able to call.
That's with the far smoke over there from behind the old car position to move in here and try to investigate. Currently still in his zone, but as you mentioned, once he does move in here and realize the site is pretty much open, bit of an extended period of time, as he is expecting there to be at least 1 or 2 pistol players to swing out and surprise him a bit. When he does see that it is wide open, the rest of the team is probably going to get called over. And again, this becomes the waiting game here on Inferno as the time runs down. Really not a lot of pressure against Ender since they can get at the gates of the site so quickly. And now they've seen it, so as you can see, pretty much as we predicted, the bomb is following suit and working its way up towards B. And for these 5 on CLG, not a whole lot to get done. We'll probably see them going into exit positions in a moment as well.
Yeah, and if I'm Ethan and Color, I'd probably just try to save my armor. Just for that next round. Cutler going down immediately, though. Yeah, and the chase is going to be on for sure.
And NRG even realized, too, what they have done here. So in order to avoid getting exited, they play aggressively themselves and move back in here. So they've already got 3. The remaining 2, one of them with armor is still up and alive as he hides over there inside of the halls, but he did just lose Kust up on top of the flower box, and he actually just dodged Daps a little bit there. But he's hiding the steps, and in a moment, I think someone is going to check for that. So he's on a bit of a sneaky mission, but it won't work out. He still goes down, and it's a full clean slate once again for NRG as they get up to 3.
This is where you just love to be at as a caller if you're NRG, where you just, you have like a few SMGs, you have the couple AKs, and you could just do like something scrimmy or just, even if you just do anything where you get like 3 or more kills, right? You're going to be in a great position because you're going to be able to buy for 2 more rounds after this, even if you lose this one, especially if you get the bomb down. And it's just such a nice position to be in.
Kusta trying to get aggressive this time. Molotov, unfortunately, is out in the open, but beautiful shot against Breezy. It just completely turns him into a ragdoll when he tries to go across and picks up his head. Even gets a second one here, too, against Daps before the smoke finally blooms out from the CT. So Impact certainly being found, and that is going to limit the options for NRG greatly.
Yeah, and that molly missed, and because that molly missed on the car, Kusta just does really nice control by him, though. In order to get that first kill.
Now NRG trying to make up the difference, however, after they've lost this. Fugly is quickly moved in through the choke point and is attempting to work his way through arches here, even just smoking it off to play carefully. He knows he has Ricky around the corner, but this is where he splits it up a little bit. He's going to go out over here towards CT and try to see if he can surprise by swinging around. They did lose Marky up in the apartments there, but for Peter himself, he has impacted, grabbing Finesse, and now that library flank is going to be coming in a moment. There's nobody watching out for it, so he can not only find a kill here, but he can save his teammate too. One more in the pit to work with here, and Fugly misses on Fugly as he had his back turned against him. So it's CLG that get away with it, and they end up 1 and 3.
I mean, it's ridiculous that player is able to get into CT spawn there when FNS and Ricky are both watching Arch. That should just never happen. Just walking through the smoke. that could have very easily been an NRG round win. CLG is extremely fortunate that, you know, Tiara was overfighting a bit and not letting, you know, Fugly just full flank.
Yeah, so off of that, thankfully, NRG, I mean, as we had seen, really clean first 3 rounds, so they still have plenty of catch flow. They just buy right into this next one here, so the CLG guys are not out of the thick of it just yet. They still have 1 or 2 more rounds to go before they have to deal with just an eco from the T side here. And in the opener, well, they finally keeled back on a lot of their early banana aggression here. Instead, however, they are going to apply a lot of it into the apartments early on. Speaking of which, Fugly is already out towards the entrance of the balcony. Cutler's watching from down below, but in terms of active presence, there isn't a whole lot of it. You just have the guys sitting back over here trying to play things together. Ethan up on top, but Fugly gets that kill. Cutler on a fast trade, though, as he did miss his opportunity to catch him initially as he had gone out. Moore going to jump back down, and Cutler sitting back on the site himself. He got a nice lineup, but doesn't get any kills. Just some good damage and beautiful spraying from Daps as well. Through the smoke, finds Ricky and Finesse. So Kusta, there's nothing he can do from the church. He's got to save.
Yeah, and I mean, they did a B control, but it took them like 25 seconds after they had card control to even rotate anybody off of B. And you're just leaving Cutler and Ethan on an island on a double port setup. And NRG just goes directly into an A take. I mean, there's no reason for those 3 players at B to just be sitting there for that long. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
So once again, NRG retake control, and this will reset the losing bonus for CLG. Keep in mind that they did lose quite a few players in the previous gun round, so their money is going to be drained a bit. As we can see, pretty much everybody except for Ethan is already below $1,000, below $500 in most cases here. So it's not going to leave them with a whole lot of cash flow to try and force into this next one.
Yeah, and that's why you love being in that spot when you're Daps and you're on NRG. You're just like, well, gosh, those are the easiest kills. I wonder if that was Molly bug for him too. Or
It might have been, actually.
Yeah, I think it probably was. But that's why, like, you have 3 chances to break their money. 3 chances. As long as you're getting a decent amount of kills, you know, in the round before. So, you know, now all of a sudden they just have that off and they're 4 spots. So Kusta needs to do something to get aggressive, to make it 4v5, to kind of alleviate that pressure on his teammates. He's just opping into, let's see, where's he at? He's going towards halls right now. Hopping pretty aggressively into there. So we'll see if Fugly messes up. It looks like he's playing pretty passive, just like jump spotting, jiggle peeking and whatnot. And it looks like they're probably going to, you know, maybe spot B again.
Smokes early on here from the CTs, though, basically just trying to delay the inevitable here since they don't really have a whole lot in the way of actual gunpowder to do this on. Boosting up into that new flower pot position there, too, to try and play up.
Yeah, I don't like that thing. I don't like that implementation at all. I do not. Just seeing above the smoke like that.
You think it's like overpowered, or you just think it's too risky of a position to play?
No, I think it's pretty like just dumb that you always have to check that when you're a T.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't think it's a good implementation.
Well, smokes do start to broil back in here, and FNS prepares for it, as most of them, again, holding back here, and it's actually pretty delayed after the smoke deployment, but in they go, right off the ceiling there, as they do move into it. And actually, the Molly is going to connect to swing Ricky into the open, but he holds his own, picks up at least 1 kill before going down.
Why'd he fall down?
Yeah. Here we go again. It's, he wasn't able to see much, or just decided to go back down and fight them directly head on. But yeah, they pretty much clear out all of B without too much problems at all. They lost Breezy, I think, on a trade, but once again...
Look at the smoke. He would have just been able to see right above it. Why did he fall? I think he just got blind and accidentally fell. Because he had, like, just great vision.
But yeah, much like many of our rounds of the past here, as you can already see on the minimap, there's not anything that Kusta and Ethan can do due to how quickly these takes are happening on both sites. And the alternate site is, I think, almost every single round so far I've been forced to say there. I think there's been 1 exception to that. I
don't know. I think this might be just a slaughter blue. Just kind of my gut instinct right now. I think it might be.
This happened a lot, unfortunately, kind of at this level of the Pro League when we still had the old Inferno.
We have seen so many blow-ups this season already. We really have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a very clear divide in where the high-tier teams and the low-tier teams are in the Pro League, so that tends to happen quite a bit. Although, one of our matches last week took a bit longer than it should have.
You're fired.
Based on the usual impressions going into it, anyway.
So top mid smoke comes, and they might just do a mid pop. So this is like something that Fnatic made really famous, right? And it kind of just stops them from any vision if you're up close middle or anything like that, if you want to go through the smoke quickly. And they kind of throw that smoke and then they could jump through it, maybe 2 on one side, 2 on the other.
Well, we can see NRG now pushing their way back in here. Ethan holding himself up on top, though, is able to pick up a first kill. Marky from down in the pit, though, goes battling, where he's finally taken down by Cutler. And it's actually left into a 2v2. And look at Ethan's position. I don't think they know he's this close up here right now. Ethan pushing forward, up on top, and oh, he's found out. So that's going to kill a whole lot of their potential to clutch out here for Kusta, though. If he can catch them moving up onto the site, he may be able to reignite this, as he's gotten away with the smoke. But the bomb goes down the other side, so he will not get that opportunity. And I was really just waiting out the timer here, but I think NRG realized that it's too risky to go beyond this here. And Kusta is not really going to be able to get much. He would have to adventure out to attempt it. There was his opportunity, but the connection misses, and he does end up again resolving to fall back.
Yeah, no kit either, so this is the right decision. But NRG's bank account's getting pretty big right now. I mean, Daps is going to be on 13K. You know, they're winning this T side pretty clean so far. That was a really nice movement. I think it was Breeze that we were watching out of the halls, like running with the flashbangs and stuff. That was pretty impressive. That was good stuff. And that was absolutely a set strat by them. Like, that's a 100% set strat. They smoked that out so that they could set up really early in the round and do a type of A play that they want to do. The CLG had 4 players though there, so they make it pretty close, especially on that team kill.
But CLG, again, not really being able to find the impact with which they need to try and pick up a second round allows for NRG to continue forward here on the T side as well. And it's going to be slow at the beginning of this one. Smokes and whatnot, and Molotovs as well here on B is going to stop NRG from making a whole lot of forward movement. We are going to see a peek out from the upper, and actually Peter fires just a little bit too early, so he is going to be pressured, but he's able to hold a close enough angle to where it doesn't look like FNX actually wanted to pressure this far forward. Smoke comes in, Peter's still trying to decide whether he wants to go through
should
that
have pushed though and gotten that kill. I mean, that's just a lack of confidence on his part. He knows PTR is behind the molly. He hears him opt towards car. If he just wide swings there, he kills him 100%. Like, even if you can't even have the best vision above that molly, like, you should be able to run there and pre-fire, you know, right where he is on that wall. Because, I mean, he timed it, like, decently. And, I mean, look at how much damage he did. But if he just went with it and went, you know, more aggressive and more confident, it would have been pretty easy for him. Now CLG has a great setup, though. The problem here is that Ricky doesn't have like any type of a smoke. So if he spots like that and he sees them, he's just running away, but he has no way to delay them. He has no way to help him. He's just going to run into site or spawn, right? And just hope that his rotators come quickly enough. So the B pressure that he puts on isn't like that intimidating. It's not that scary or anything like that.
Yeah, is he still able to keep himself in check? And now for the rest of NRG here. Well, time getting quite a bit low, actually, and the bomb is still sitting just below the crossroads here. However, it does appear as though they are going to shift it in towards B. Or at the moment, the defenses remain unhinged, but they both are on the site. The smokes come out. Molotov there is not going to connect on a much. FNS finally gets that kill that he's been looking for. Ricky with another one, and FNS gets himself the second on the round, 3rd overall. Finally taken down by Fugly, and Ricky is still flashed in the meantime, too. So they do finally clear out that site. They'll just barely get this bomb down. Post plan is where things are going to get rough, however, as CLG will be able to swing back in with the manpower advantage. And they don't have a flank cover, so both of them can focus directly at the head-on advantage. And I think they realize this too, due to how low the time was. They jump back out. Peter finds the connection, and now he's watching from behind the crypts, waiting to see if they move up in directly into the site, while Fugly defends the church. And this is a good thing too, as Peter's a lower HP, so Fugly wants to take the direct battle. Goes in, he gets so close to finding that first kill, but he doesn't make the connection. And now he's 1v2 with 5 HP. There's the first one, tries to pull out his pistol for the second player, but it's not to be done. And Kusta still has plenty of time for the defuse, and we will finally see that second round on the board for CLG.
The worst type of round win, though, for CLG. I mean, yeah, you're happy you won the round, but this round is just it's very similar to when that 4th round happened. NRG is going to have multiple times to reset their economy. They're going to be able to buy even if they lose this round, so they're going to probably have 2 chances in a row right now. They're going to have this round and the next round to reset them and probably go up, you know, 9-2 before CLG buys again.
And as we begin the round here once more, it's NRG held back actually quite respectively, not really trying to move out and be too adventurous here at the beginning, just going into that opening battle over here towards the card angle, up on Banana, of course, but as we kind of seen for most of these rounds so far, it's just going to get smoked off and mollied off on either respective end of it, so you're not going to see much happening within the first few seconds. It does appear as though that CLG actually want to reassert their aggression down here, especially in Ricky's form.
This is good from CLG. Now it's a little bit different. Now that they have that smoke deep, NRG doesn't know if they're logs, if they're, you know, up close to the right or anything like that. And because of that, that's like a completely different look. And also, Ricky has a smoke. I would really not waste this smoke if I was him. I think it's way better to save it so that if you do get pushed back, then you have something to, you know, hold with and help you hold the site. He wasted early, though, and now they're kind of in that same spot. If they want to push back B, it's really easy for them to. Luckily for CLG, it's going to be an A take, and they have a full stack.
FNS now just shifts his way into the cubby, but this could be huge for him too, as they are going to be pushing around with Daps here. FNS, where you at? There's the correction though, and he does have support onto other players that would be able to trade out onto him. Energy still picked up 2 kills though, but oh, Kusta right up close. Breezy did not expect to see that coming. However, the T still control around over here towards the port side, so Peter and Fugly chain together 2 more, and now it's all come down to Ricky, who is moving very quickly over here onto the porch side, and at the moment they're not really accounting for that one. Both the remaining Ts are looking over there towards the library side of things, but Fugly's going to check for him now. He won't find him just yet. Ricky again looking into that little tiny break in the wall there to see if he can find his opponent, but no, won't be working out as Fugly still holds the angle when Ricky decides to finally push forward, and there you have it. NRG right back on the winning train, and CLG reset once more.
Yeah, we'll see if they want to force here or not. If they don't force, they could buy next round, I think. Or I think they would. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Cutler's buying, yeah, so they do force. So, like I said, if NRG is able to win this round, I mean, they're just in such a commanding lead.
And once again, they do open up with pretty much the same style of setup. And
that was just we're talking about when FNS was rotating from Cubby into Moto. He just like runs out into the open, and his crosshair's just like, I mean, I don't know. He just had no chance to succeed in that position. Like, he needs to just hold and kind of see if anybody peeks him, and then he can maybe get the kill, or just wait for his teammates or something. He just puts himself right out into the open.
That gives away a whole lot of positioning and allows Energy to swing back in, bring that round back after it was looking good for CLG to initially hold it. Breezy actually does have a tiny little crevice to look through here in the smoke. I don't think it's going to be enough to give him the confidence to actually push through onto the site, though, but he should be able to hear his opponent kind of jumping around on the other side, and that is the same guy that was looking towards him a moment ago here. So he swings out. The timing on it's good, but I think the smoke throws him off too much. So Ricky's actually going to end up getting the advantage here. Now Daps is trying to push back in with a Mac 10 here, but again, the smoke timing and the smoke positioning here from CLG is actually really good at holding back these pushes here. And you can tell that NRG definitely wants to try and push directly through that onto the sites. The times that they have gone for that, though, they have been made the better of. And also, extra molly being wasted here by NRG on the way towards library. Shouldn't be too big of a deal just yet. We'll have to see what the numbers are like in the post plan, if they even get to that, as right now CLG are just destroying NRG with pistols. FNS and Kusta find 2 more for themselves here. Only 20 seconds left, I should mention here too, and now Daps still gets a kill, but oh no! Cutler armed with an AK gets both Daps and Peter lined right up, and it is CLG that upset on that round to pick up a 3rd.
That is exactly what they needed to get back into this game. And like I said, man, this map is, you could eco people on this map. Like, you saw what happened. They wrap, and they're stacked in the site, in the pit, and all these different areas that are just really difficult to trade efficiently on. Just due to the nature of the map, right? There's so many places. You just have to watch your back to see if anybody's going to push through library or arch while they're taking site. When you're taking site, you could be shot from pit, site, graveyard, right? It's really difficult to trade in those situations if CLG is able to get like that very first kill. And it made it even easier when Breeze went down to B to just make it 4v5.
But still the 3-2 split from CLG, although this time the 3 is over here towards B, which is probably going to change in a moment here. Cutler, I think, just putting himself in this position to wean off any extra aggression that NRG might have thrown at B early on. You can already tell that he's kind of haphazardly rotating towards CT here to prepare to push his way up the highway over on towards A and add himself to that site. But NRG, again, just like many rounds in the past, are remaining very quiet on the opener here, and Marky already has himself the position just outside of the boiler. He'll be remaining inside of it for right now, though, since the Molotovs do hold him back, and his teammates are really not in a good right position to try and push forward onto the bomb site. But again, nothing really happening, and NRG bringing down the timer very low with very little intel. They don't know exactly how the sites are stacked back up. The good news for them is it does seem like they are going to send this over towards B, is that Cutler did end up kind of rotating away from this one, and he has fully committed himself towards A, but now they do have to hope that this B entry attempt goes very well, as their strength in it has kind of weaned off over the past few rounds, and they haven't been looking so good. The trades from CLG have been looking a lot better as they've kind of gotten their confidence back in. At the moment, they still also have two guys trying to make noise over here towards A. Now they move back in, though, and again, flashbang control is really good from CLG. Along with the Molotov, FNS is able to take down Daps in the first push here. Breezy is available for a trade. He knows he has the last guy stuck behind New Box somewhere, but again, that timer, only 8 seconds remaining, but thankfully it works out for them. Kusta stuck behind a smoke, so he won't be able to impact and stop this plant right here. It just barely gets himself onto the ground, but it has been done, and now it's left us into a 3v3. With CLG already getting back control of the church. Cutler trying to rotate himself over here through the garden, and Kusta trying to burn players back out from way over in CT too. But no aggressive moves being made, as they were still waiting for Ethan to get into a position to group up with Kusta and go back in. Great shot from Ethan, and Kusta follows through, so it's all down to Peter, and there you go, 1, 2, 3. No problems at all for CLG.
Yeah, great retake, man. I was not expecting that, and CLG slowly getting back in that game, just off that eco round win, right? So that setup it's just not quite as strong now. That used to be a setup I used to run all the time, where you have a guy triple, you have a guy first oranges, and just because of how easy that guy sees you now when you jump up, I think it's a lot easier now. And also they can go above you when you're on first oranges as well, right? When you're on that hard left that we saw Ricky was in. So that setup I just don't think it's quite as strong. I think holding B passive a lot of times a lot more difficult on this map. You have the boost angle, you know, in that CT spawn, which helps a lot, but besides that, it's pretty tough.
And so NRG have finally kind of been broken a little bit here, at least down to the point where they are going to have to go for a half buy on 4 to 5 players. Decent utility to work with considering what the rest of the buy is looking like, though. Tech-9s and P250s, and they still have, you know, like 2 smokes and a Molotov sitting on Daps and Breeze, along with a couple of flashbangs here and there. So they can still make an attempt to get into one of these sites, and it does appear as though that is going to be B. But once more, on the CLG side of things, they got a bit more aggressive too, so they're going to get an early spot on this and probably be able to position themselves either passively to avoid this fight. Actually, no, hold on, Ricky's still in the open. Nobody checks towards CT, so Ricky's just going to have free reign over them, but oh no, he flubs it as well. Breezy and Fugly just pick up those 2 kills in the way, and now NRG do get a bit aggressive. So as they move out into the open there to try and control the entrance to Church, Kusta picks up one of them, but it's only one trade, leaving this in a 4v3. And because of how quickly this happens too, NRG are in some pretty good positions. They do have Church control. They're not going to let them in without a bit of a fight here. Along with mollying back out the entryway. It's just going to waste a few more seconds. Ethan going back in, destroyed by Marky, and he follows through with the second one. So that should be it. Kusta, I imagine, is going to hold here for a few seconds to try and pick up an extra few kills, but his priority now is saving the op, as NRG are just going to find an 8th. No, that missed shot. He's got sudden doom set against him here, as Marky is going to be able to take him down, and there will be no saves at all for CLG there.
Wow. What are the copyright strikes on that Benny Hill theme song?
Wait, what?
The copyright, like what's the copyright on
I don't
that?
know.
Can we play it?
It might be public domain by this point.
Hopefully, man. That's what we need.
Probably
right
so.
here. I mean, just an absolute full eco. Even Ricky, even after like his teammate died, I mean, he had 2 free kills, right? Just not able to connect on him. Now we see a nice little boost at B though. I wonder if you could see him if they go close to the wall where Cutler is. No, it doesn't look like you can.
Well, CLG unfortunately not going to be working with Daps. I think he's realized it, and they destack it and fall back, so he will be getting himself a piece of the action right there. But still, it sends them back over to the site and gives NRG the initial control of the B staging area here.
Yeah, I mean, just the mental errors on CLG, like to lose that round where they just have, I mean, his teammate just gets overran in sight while Ricky throws them, like his teammate's sight just wasn't ready at all. And then even him, he should have capitalized on a couple kills. It's like, do you know who JaVale McGee is?
Nope.
Blue? No?
No.
It's the Shackton MVP. COG has about 5 JaVale McGees. This guy runs down the wrong court. Like he's playing for the other team. It's hilarious. He does the funniest things ever.
So Cutler finding Marky early on actually is good for them because now they can kind of come out and surprise them with the other two here behind Nubox and Oranges. There's Kusta with another one. There is some trades now, but it's still in the favor of CLG. Finally, Peter moves in and takes down the op sitting in the backside there, but there's still one more at Nubox, and they've got CT pressure working against them here now too. They're having so much trouble getting rid of this guy at Nubox, and they just barely dispatch of him as it looked like Daps was going to be low, and now as Ricky sneaks back in from guard, I can't even control what's going on here right now. As Daps is left as the last man standing, there's only 17 seconds left here as well, and CLG know it. They've got the bomb sitting right over there behind the wall, so Ethan could just sit back, relax, wait for Daps to push him, and there you go. It's another eco round, this time at the hands of CLG.
It's like the only rounds that they can win are when they, stack like that, and then they run into, the stacks, and they play them very well. And like I said, man, on Inferno, that's one of the things you could do on CT side. You could win a lot of these broken by rounds, a lot of these save rounds where you just have like a pistol half armor or one gun and things like that, because the crossfires are just so powerful when you have that extra guy there or extra two guys there. It's you really gotta kind of scout it out, I think, when you're on the T side playing these anti-ecos. But then again, it's really difficult to scout it out because of Kusta's, saves his op, right? Mm-hmm. I think last round he had an op, right?
Yeah, he was the one that was finding most of the impact there from emo position. So
yeah, but it's like he's like saved his op a lot of times. So you don't really want to scout a lot of times because what if they just run to his op? It's just a free kill, right?
Yep.
So
it's going to be NRG here now, moving their way back over inside of Boiler first off. And again, CLG really have not been ones to put a lot of pressure on the mid choke point. They're holding it back on the sites themselves and on these wraparound positions. As you can see, Kusta waiting over here. The flashbang doesn't go out far enough, so he's still going to have full vision here. And NRG know it, so they do just go for the deployment of the smoke, and they are going to attempt to swing back out here now, but he gets the first one. Smoke is blocking his vision, but he can throw a Molotov against them to hold the T's back over there on the arch side. Kusta is still really just sitting back and waiting. Fugly has found a bit more luck and trying to push his way over there towards the porch side, but unfortunately he was just traded back out. Kusta, beautiful shot, close up as well. He knows a second one's coming. That's going to destroy Marky. The hit did work on the other side though, so Peter has himself a 1v3, but Kusta countering out all of the players trying to push around Arch has essentially made this impossible for Peter to clutch. They know he's sitting out in the open, and they can try to push against him, and there you have it. Kusta ends up with a 4K on the round, and it's going to put CLG up to 6.
yeah, nice run by Kusta. Especially on Marky when you're jiggle peeking the library. That's one of the things about Kusta is that he's very patient. He usually when he takes a shot with the op, he hits it, right? Mm-hmm. He's very patient. If you jiggle peek him, he usually doesn't fall for it. And has like really good control. I mean, we saw it on the 4th round. Remember when that guy jumped over? He doesn't just immediately flick and shoot. He like takes his time, make sure he hits the shot. So that part of his game is pretty impressive. And now NRG on an eco. Last time they went towards B, it worked quite well. They just kind of ran to the site, made it 3v5, and ended up winning that pretty cleanly. So it looks like they're going to try that again.
NRG are going to try to rush their way into this. Nice shots from FNS, though. Finds the first one and instantly grabs the headshot onto the second. He'll pick up a third for himself against Peter, and ultimately the rush out through Banana has been another failure. So it is Fugly in a 1v5 on the last round, and it is looking like very likely that we'll have ourselves the 8-7 half once again, and that is going to be the way that things will go. Unfortunately, the Benny Hill theme song is still copyrighted, so we're not going to be able to play out on that one. But ladies and gentlemen, the second half here should be coming up in just a little bit. Stick around for the conclusion here on Inferno between NRG and CLG right here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, PaySafeCard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
And welcome back yet again, ladies and gentlemen, here. It's another close map between CLG and NRG. This time it is CLG rounding the comeback after starting out from pretty far behind, actually, there. NRG having a pretty good start to their T side, but then after quite a few ecos there, CLG was able to get their way back into it, and now they sit 8-7, moving on to their own T side here on Inferno.
Yeah, they won a couple rounds due to their stacked sites when they had pistols or, you know, broken buys or whatever. And because of that, it wasn't like so bad. It wasn't a slaughter. I thought it was going to end up 11-4, 12-3 that half, just judging by the way the economy was, by the way NRG was playing. They seemed very well drilled. But, you know, it's Inferno, and on Inferno, if you kind of just choose wrong sometimes on your anti-ecos, if that's your approach to them, or you just kind of, you know, say, hey, we're just going to do a Molly B take with all 5 of us, and then all of a sudden be stacked. And then what did they do before? They're on the, you know, they went arch and they tried to split 1 halls, 1 porch, like 3 arch. And what was it? CLG picked right. They stacked the site. So when that happens, you know, people like FNS can kind of read where you're going to go sometimes, and they can win those rounds. And that really was what kept CLG in the half.
Yep. And off of that now, this keeps us very even, and it does look like, guys, that the second half is going to be starting here at any moment as the teams are ready to rock and roll. So we should be able to jump directly into it here and take a look and see if CLG is going to be able to continue this momentum and push us back, of course, into their own lead to try and actually close out on this map and make it 1-1 for the evening, or if NRG is going to get a swing of their own momentum as they go on to what is arguably still the more favored side here, now on the CT side, and be able to still close out here in their own to make it 2-0. And continue their push forward to try and re-qualify for the Pro League finals after a big roster change-up at the end of the last season, with the majority of their roster heading back over to Europe to play for big. And on the opener, too, it seems like CLG are going to pretty definitively just push through the mid-choke point. NRG, we can already see them putting up a lot more aggression against this, and they're looking the other way here. So Marky takes a bit of time, but he gets that first kill and the second one, and now Peter's swinging back in. That's already 3 down for CLG, and the remaining 2, well, they were stuck at crossroads, so they'll attempt to go up, but a beautiful shot from Breezy just destroys Cutler, and now it's all on Kusta. He's not going to get very far either. Nicely done for Breezy at long range with the USP there, and it is all 5 alive at the end of it. A clean pistol from NRG.
Yeah, and if you notice, the way they did that pistol round stack at middle is that none of them were peeking except for the Cubby guy. The Cubby guy had contact, and the reason they do that is because when that Cubby guy shoots, they have to be committed, you know? Generally, if that Cubby guy shoots, 2 or 3 are going to be committed. They're not, you know, because they're all far out in the open. If you're just spotting the corners, then all of a sudden they could kind of see the stack, sense it out a little bit, see that you're crossfired, and kind of know what's up. So you lull them into a little bit of a false sense of security. That guy usually gets a free shot, and then everybody can kind of start peeking off of that.
Into the second round here now, since CLG don't get anything done, we do just see Tech-9 investments for most. Kusta is obviously going to be saving for the up on the first gun round here, but everybody else just goes for Tech-9 armor investments. And once more, it's pretty straightforward with their positioning on the opener here. Probably going to see a few go out Boiler, another few go out the choke point, just essentially trying to overwhelm it onto the A-bomb set. But once again, actually very well read and strategized here from NRG. They, you know, they're not going to take contact this time. They're just going to sit back and take the duels around the wraps and see if they can kind of prevent them from just getting site control here while they still have 2 rotating over from B. Good timing on that flashbang, too. Just delay the actual push by another, like, 2 to 3 seconds here as Dap sees it. And, again, he sees the numbers on it, so he won't actually challenge it. Just hold back. They leap over top of the Molotov, though. He gets 1 kill and some decent damage on a second before finally going down to Ricky himself. Now Fugly trying to move back in, and Ethan, too, finding a nice first kill. Fugly had already given himself away, but still able to survive for 1 more. Ricky and Cutler pick up those kills, and it's actually left down to just Marky at the end of everything. Rotation from him, a little bit slower than the rest. Thankfully, some of them have been primed to be brought down a bit low, but Cutler finding some nice damage onto Marky here. The palm was actually in pit, so wondering why the plan has been delayed. There's your reason. But now he goes the other route, initially at least, still kind of trying to figure things out. He's got a lot of utility as well.
He was trying to make noise to make him think he's going porch.
Now, kind of sneaking back in. They have started to look the other way. Cutler's yet to re-peek over here on the library side, and Ricky just paying attention towards the pit to support his teammate. He's not going to see this coming. Swings right up. Now he's got great coverage to duel against Cutler, but no! Cutler finds the final headshot and closes out on the round in the favor of CLG.
Yeah, and that was his plan. Like, he runs a little bit towards the wall, so it seems like he's going towards porch or maybe even boiler to halls, and then he walks back to Moto. And it just kind of, it makes him have to watch all angles, right? If you just go directly from Moto after they see you Moto, you know, all of a sudden they just have to watch, you know, both of them can just kind of play off each other. It's a pretty easy round win. But CLG picking up another eco, and that's like the story of their game so far is just, you know, eco round after eco round after eco round that they have won. And if they didn't win those, this game would be pretty much over by now. So that success has kind of given them, you know, a life. You know, what's the term, Blue?
A new,
life vest?
new lease on life?
Sure. In this game.
Okay.
A lifeline.
Oh, life.
Someone watches Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
So Ethan's going to try to swing back out here. There's going to be a smoke in their way. Flashbang for the CTs was great, though. Just not a great follow-up, unfortunately. Dabs only gets one of them before it's quickly traded out by Finesse, and now the rest of CLG. They've got porch control. Smoke on the other side is a bit daunting, considering they don't know what the CTs are going to have set against them from there. As now they should know that this is a force buy, so they are dealing with a bit more gunpowder than they may have been expecting. Also waiting for the rest of the team to group up with them here. Still 50 seconds to play with, so they're really not pressed for time currently. But in doing this, again, we've already got one of the B players having rotated over here, and after that smoke fades, they are going to resolve to actually go around the arch side and try to push in from here. Peter spots the play, but he swings out a bit too wide to fall back behind cover quickly enough. That will lead to his death, and now they're actually splitting this. They're working their way over towards B instead, since they know the defenses have to be weak here due to all the pressure they're putting on the choke point. Marky sits, he lines up one, but is immediately traded up by Ricky, and now they have set control. Fast on their heels, though, is going to be Breezy. He gets himself an angle, but Kusta's quick on the draw. Takes him down and leaves Fugly as the last man standing, coming up from Banana.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious he's coming from B here. I don't think that he's going to be able to win this round, so maybe he's just going to go for exits. He has that MP9. I don't know if there's an AK down that he can retrieve, because I think the AK is towards CT spawn, but we'll see. No, he ends up getting a FAMAS.
So he'll just put himself back into a corner and save away. The force up from NRG, unfortunately, there does not end up working out in the way that they had planned. They do knock out a few players, but it's nothing to cause any serious economical damage.
Yeah, and I do think this map is more, you know, T-sided now, just from playing it like the small amount that I have. But just because you could spam the halls, right? It's a lot easier to take halls controlled because you could just like molly boiler and you could spam like all of the hallway, so you could take halls so easily. That helps a lot. Like obviously in the other one, you had to check bedroom. You had to, you know, there's planks everywhere. Boiler's a lot harder to take control of. You know, I think Banana is a lot more, you know, obviously Banana's a lot more open in this one when you actually take B. You know, I just think it's more T-sided in general. So I think CLG might have the advantage now. I don't know quite how T-sided. I mean, I just think it's more T-sided than the old Inferno. But the old Inferno was like really CT-sided. Really CT-sided.
Yeah. There's not a lot of room for them to execute at all in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it's like one Molotov stopped any take that you wanted ever on that. Like even at B on Inferno now, if you throw a Molotov as a CT, a lot of the time you can kind of work around it and stuff. You have to throw like perfectly placed smokes and whatnot to actually smoke everything off.
So we do have a player from the CT side now, since this is Fugly, the one that was able to save the FAMAS. He'll be playing, waiting for an impending B hit. In fact, they've gone for a 4-man gamble stack over here towards B, but this is not going to end up working out in their favor. CLG end up taking the other route here, working their way over towards A. And the resistance primarily is going to be coming out actually from a flank, so Daps may be able to do a little bit of damage here. All comes down to the timing, but I think he missed his opportunity. Oh, wait, hold on. They're going to split this again, though. So they will end up running into that stack. The question is going to be, though, do they expect them all to be coming in this direction? And again, they kind of counter their own decision here as one of them moves back in. Daps is able to hold out for one. Ethan goes hunting, though, to hold off these B players, and I think they realize what the stack is. Look, there's actually probably quite a bit of confusion going on both sides of this now, but CLG get themselves A control. That's what they want. Ethan just battling out here, trying to hold these guys back from rotating in as quickly as or as long as he possibly can. They did end up knocking out, I think it was Fugly that was player, Daps, excuse me, that was playing over there towards the A-bomb site, and Ethan still going off here with 1 HP, knocks out Marky and Peter, and that's pretty much going to kill it. Breezy, there's just nothing he can really do. Unfortunately, he only has a USP, so he'll probably still try to push back out here in a second. With that USP, still probably not going to end up getting a whole lot done.
Yeah, just looking for anybody to push, but it's not going to happen. So CLG 10-9. Let's take a look at the money. pretty decent, you know, cash onto CLG. And NRG, I mean, it's going to be a decent buy, you know, but they're going to be limited on their nades. I'd be surprised if they have more than, you know, like one Molotov, for instance. That's going to pretty much allow you to do anything you want on T side. So we'll see. A lot of the time, CTs, when they have a buy like this, they take more of again, NRG, like I said on Overpass, a very conservative type of purchasing team. They really don't like to spend that much money, like, or, you know, to have, not spend that much money, but have rounds where they don't have, like, fully bought out, you know, op on PTR, Molotovs on everyone, and stuff like that. They're very conservative.
Ricky destroys Marky when he attempts to go for an early peek out here, so already losing one of the CTs, and this will give credence to CLG's attempts to push up through Banana here, as all that's going to be defending it is Peter.
But you see how that's, like, kind of my pet peeve, though? Is, like, not the push, but look at how much they spent this round. Why not, if you're going to save, right, twice in a row, why not spend that the round before so that you don't just let them win a free round, essentially, when you have USPs and give them 3,400 apiece, or if they have a MAC 10er like they did with Ethan, get a bunch of kills and stuff like that, and even get more money. It just makes no sense. If you're going to buy, you buy it the round before, because if they win this round, right, you got to think like, well, they probably would have won it the round before, right? And then all of a sudden you just deny CLG the 3,400 and whatnot, right? You just put yourself in a million times better position.
Well, now it is going to be CLG just kind of sneaking over here towards B. As NRG have really not sent anyone over here towards B. In fact, the other player that was here, Peter, backed out of the site and is now sitting behind the CT smoke because of that. Now, rotations are going to be quick as they were kind of on a moment's notice that it moved back in, but they boosted. I think it was Kusta up on top of the first oranges there, and he was able to see over the smoke. So he knocks out a second player. And the remaining members of NRG, I don't even think are going to make an active attempt at the retake. Peter might, but that's just because he's already kind of here. The others, I think, are just posting up for exits now, and they're not even going to make an attempt at it. So it's going to be an easy 11th after everything is said and done for CLG. And the investments over the past few rounds from NRG essentially remains fruitless. As Ricky backs up again, finally you see that peek from Peter. As Ricky actually runs out of ammo, and Peter just gets him at the last moment. So now we have two more sitting at the outside of the banana push point. Fugly and Daps try to work this together, but I think CLG realized that that was going to be a possibility. They just sit down at the end of Banana. They dispatch of one of them, and ultimately, again, don't really lose that many players coming out of that round. They continue to push forward. Their money continues to grow, which is very important here, too. Cutler sitting at just under 8K after he buys, and Kusta sitting at 9,500. NRG, in the meanwhile, are going to get themselves finally another full rifle round with op and everything included, but, you know, they're running on empty after that purchase.
Yeah, and on this 21st round, we're going to see two fully bought out. Pete, where is he opting at? So he's opting towards B, you know, flashing, using a lot of utility, so he's probably going to peek the car right now.
Also one covering off a lot of it. Marky's actually really forward, but just basically caught in the open on the timing there.
That was great timing by CLG, though.
And as they do move in, again, Marky did a little bit of damage. Ethan down to 11 FNS for 55, and I think after that bit of a scare against Marky, they'll hold for a few seconds to see if Peter will go back at that peak again. Won't be the case, though. He completely gives up on that battle and is now just going to be holding the CT angle, as he's also called for assistance from Daps over on A.
Yeah, so they opt to play a heavier B presence with 2 at A, and it looks like Fugly's even going to kind of peek middle, and I bet since he's not seen anything, he's probably going to go to B as well. So the rotate's going to come very, very quickly. They do a deep CT spawn smoke so that they can wrap into construction, but Pete has an eye on it. He knows what's happening.
And he gets that first kill. Daps, in the meantime, also got the first contact up on site, but it's very short-lived. However, the cavalry gets here just in the nick of time. Fugly wraps in, gets himself 2 kills. Ethan prioritizing the plant now to start the timer in his advantage and just smoking off his other side. They realized that he had wrapped back in the other direction. I think he was trying to curve out here, but no. Still stuck in the corner, just beneath the grill. And waiting for Breezy to move back in. Is he going to see him? I think he will get the spot first, since Ethan just didn't catch Breezy moving back in. So they dispatch of him and NRG. Well, they do pull off the retake and keep this game close now, with the scoreline going up to 10-11.
And that's another Fnatic strat from years ago that they used to run all the time, and Pronax made popular. Was you just double smoke front site like they did, you smoke deep spawn, and in order to take the site, you wrap through construction. And it actually is pretty cool on this map because you could boost over first oranges while you're doing that, and maybe even add like an extra angle that the CTs have to worry about. But you know, they had no map control. The rotate came so quickly. They even gambled B in the 4v5 by putting 2B. And again, PTR recognized what was happening very quickly, and it just, you know, stopped that strat right in its tracks.
Ricky was able to actually sneak through the defenses here, though, and he's going to bring a lot of his teammates with him. The CTs do realize it, so Molotovs do go back over here towards the porch side. But again, not a lot of impact being found on the CLG side to actually get control leading up to the site. Fugly finding Ricky here. They do knock Daps back a bit, so he's not going to be able to contribute to holding back the Arches side. And this is actually allowing for a whole lot of control from CLG, but they still need to actually get it forward onto the site. There's still the pit player and the site player. They got the pit player. Breezy's still up and going, though, since he got the support back from Daps with that Molotov fading away. Breezy, though, not able to contribute. And while Peter's still able to impact, keeping NRG in the advantage position here, CLG now will be up onto the site, smoking off the other angle and starting the timer in their favor. Pit control and site control here, but all three from NRG. Now a 2-1 split, since Peter's just going to go back in over here through library side. He finds the first kill against FNX, and I think he spotted Cutler too, so he just sinks both of those kills.
What is his score right now, man?
18 and 14.
Oh, I thought it was better than that.
Yeah.
It was Overpass that he had a like pretty crazy score. Like
He was leading by like 5 or 6 frags on the next guy in the last map.
Yeah, so last 2 rounds just makes a huge impact with his off. And like I said, I mean, it's pretty difficult on Inferno, I think, more so than a lot of other maps, to make that impact. I mean, you even saw he made an impact there where he was completely out of the play in Arch, right? And still ends the round with 3 kills. So that was actually, I know Breeze didn't get a kill, but did you see how he hid behind that pillar while the bullets were coming?
Yeah.
And like, that was really nice, man. It was very good patience by him, and was actually pretty impressive. I know he didn't get the kill, but the way how well composed he was is something that you don't see from many players.
With that being said, now CLG go back into the investment here, back into the push directly through over on towards A. NRG now having the tie for the lead going here. CLG need to find their own impact to be able to keep this going and keep their push up to 16 rounds strong. This is really quick control on Arch side, already gained here within just, you know, the first 30 to 40 seconds of the round. They don't have anyone else really pushing over there on port side, however, so they are going to see this coming from a mile away. Breezy's already found 2. Peter's able to fire out some shots from library to keep them kind of jaded a bit to actually push back in that route. And again, he waits for it here. They move back in, and it's just a slaughterhouse, in fact.
Just a very, very poorly executed by CLG. I mean, they're throwing all their nades. The counter nades come. They don't execute. There's a botch smoke at Arch. They just stop in their tracks and allow the rotate to come. And, you know, we saw it from COG when they were on CT side, when they stacked the A site with pistols, and they won the round, right?
Yeah.
So how are you gonna execute on that when they have M4s and full nades, and you stop your take for 30 seconds and expect to win the round, right? It's just not gonna happen. Like, when that happens, when you take that control and you just get stuck there, and then you force it like that, that's when you lose the rounds, like almost every time.
And there's basically no attempt to really deal with Peter or anything like that, too. He's given full reign over it and is able to keep full intel for his teammates there as well. Good setup, not to mention that as well. But
Bad
speaking of
peek by
Peter,
Kusta, though.
Yep, he's immediately going to grab Kusta right at the beginning of the 9th round on the half. The rest of the team, well, they're stuck behind a Molotov that was tossed out over here towards Banana. And while Peter will actually miss the shot, and that's going to leave Marky at the drive. This is where they could lose control of the situation. Thankfully, with those 2 kills, they kind of get it back, and, well, the bomb may still end up going down, and it does. The round itself will still very securely go into NRG's hands as they push up to 13.
Yeah, and I mean, COG has had their chances this map again, much like Overpass, to win this. I mean, their T-side economy was very, very nicely set up. They had a lot of rounds, you know, to maybe win one or lose one, win one, and kind of reset the CTs. But look at how slow that peak was, right? Just Kusta he was trying to time it with the flash, and the flash didn't quite come when he thought. So he kind of, you know, just kind of walked into his crosshair instead of like jumping over and maybe making it more difficult on him.
CLG, well, back up to the full buy after that. That was the beauty of them getting such a big advantage at the beginning of this half, is they really only had to go through 1 save round, and it was like with armor and everything too. So they're right back up to AKs after that one, and the op sitting on Kusta, but whoo, nice spray from Marky. He's able to find Ethan through the smoke. knocks him out, and it's another somewhat poor start here for CLG as they get smoked out on Banana. Not allowed to take presence there, and Ethan tries to go for a response to that by spraying through, but unfortunately that bites back as well. And Marky, while he'll lose half of his HP, he gets a kill. And that is going to, once again, limit CLG's options quite heavily as they are, once more, just happy to get this early control here through the mid-choke point. But getting beyond this has been their really big issue on the half.
Yeah, it's going to even be more difficult now. I think Inferno on CT side, playing against a 4v5 is actually one of the easier maps to play against. If you ever played against a NIP, I remember they always just go back to B in 4v5s. But when you have 4 people on T side, it's generally exactly what they're doing, right? You usually want somebody to just contact play and make a pick like that. But it's so difficult to do on this T side. So how do you, all of a sudden you have to change your game plan, right?
Nicely done from Breezy, though, after he loses 2 teammates over here on this site. He is able to trade out 2 more for himself from the pit, and he's still a menace to prevent them from even getting the plant. Look, now he's gotten himself a 3rd. What is CLG doing? They're not able to get any control at all. It's just finesse alone, and once again, Breezy just whittling him down. He's even going to get that final kill as well. So he single-handedly stops the hit from the porch side here and puts a 14th round up on the board for NRG.
Yeah, did you see how they tried to take that? They just try to lead in with an opper, let Kusta kind of lead in and then see what happens, look for a pick that way, and then just kind of use maybe one flashbang or just peek out and try to trade kill, right? That's usually how you try to win 4v5 rounds, or a lot of teams do, and that's how they implement it, right? And when you play Inferno, it's really hard to just isolate someone and get a pick, if you think about Dust 2, you kind of walk out mid-B, maybe fight that guy, right? Maybe spawn drop off Cat and kill somebody like that. Maybe walk out long or whatever, right? Or walk into B. There's multiple different options. On Inferno, it's really tough to walk up porch and get a pick, just so many crossfires.
There are no signs of the strategy being changed up from CLG here either, as once again, they're quick into the apartments, quick to move over here towards Boiler than the first few moments of the round. And Ethan, well, he has pushed himself up Banana, but this is still playing by the numbers here, as they are not deviating from their usual pushing into A and then trying to split, take control over there. This time, though, considering that Ethan hasn't really gone against any aggression at all, I think they are going to resolve to fall back, since the A pushes have been relatively unsuccessful in almost every single attempt in these past 5 or 6 rounds now, and just try to go for an all-in on B while keeping Cutler to cut off quick rotations from A over towards Banana. And even in that route here, NRG are going to fall back a bit more to kind of prep for something like this. You've got Marky sitting behind the new box, and Peter playing way back in the garden there behind the crypt. They've even got a quick rotation working its way over there from Daps. So they know something's up, and indeed the push is going to start. Finesse taking so much damage from that Molotov, though. He's already down at 28 HP now. He's going to duck his head down at Grill. Marky getting ready for it. Daps just spraying through, hoping he can find something. They did lose Peter, and Marky got 1, but it was quickly traded out, so not the best impact that NRG would have looked for on the initial push. And this is great control from CLG to just close out the round in a 3v4 here. Daps missing his chance, but some damage done overall there on Akusta to bring him down to 29. Breezy has a slight angle through the smoke, which I don't know if CLG are aware of, but they're not peeking to give him a whole lot. He had it right there, and in fact, he is going to impact. And now Bugley swinging back in. Good recovery from Ethan, but Breezy peeking out, gets his own 2nd on this run. He knows there's still 1 over there on Banana. They've got it down to 2 here. His teammate's going to push back in. Cutler got the better than there, and he can't actually find his opponent, so Ethan is going to be able to win it out over there at Banana and win out the round for CLG, keeping them in the match. A 2-round deficit still to work against, along with a huge economy buildup from the NRG side of things now, but they at least have a chance to tie it up again.
Yeah, they do, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they do win this or force overtime or anything like that. But NRG, though, I think has a much better CT side than COG has a T side. I mean, B is becoming a consistent issue for them. I know they won the round there, but they're pushing it, they're taking control, making it 4v5, they have control over it again. Nice nade, man. Puts down Ricky to 45.
Knocking a little bit off of Kusa too, but Ricky actually gets the better of them as they do move back in, and there seems to be confusion about the pacing of this hit. They're not ready for it when it moves back in, so some players have their backs turned and whatnot here on the site. That's already full control here for CLG up on the platform and in all the surrounding areas.
That's just not something that should happen, though, because they have B control. Whenever you have B control like that, your teammate should just be, that's all you have to play for as a CT for the next 30 seconds, is just a scrimmage strat like that. That's it. And as long as you play for a scrimmage strat like that, where that immediate hit happens, if you just spot and you play like site or whatever, you're going to have such an advantage because you're going to have that player playing B. He's going to spot early. You're going to have 4A unless they even push that player back at B. But are they even going to push him back? If they don't, you just have 4A and they just run into your stack, right? So just not well played by NRG, getting surprised by them just like running through that smoke. And it seems like whenever CLG kind of gets in that moment where they start losing rounds, right? Like we saw it on Overpass on T side, they start losing rounds. What do? They just kind of walk out B, right? They're starting to, you know, lose grasp of the game. What do? They just kind of, you know, throw a pop flash to the mid, go up mid really quickly, right? So kind of the same type of philosophy on Inferno that we saw from Overpass.
So it's going to come down to these last few rounds here to decide if it's OT or absolute victory for either one of these teams. NRG actually, I think, fully forcing into this one too. They still have the up sitting on Peter. M4 being saved by Daps, of course, but now as we take a look at Fugly, who's going to try to battle out early on. Cutler, he does find the first mark, and I think the CTs were able to spot both of them here, so they'll pull back out of there for right now. This is really the first time in the half overall that NRG actually played for full-on control inside of the apartments. Before, they weren't even trying to take contact until they got to the site or started to wrap back around either on the arch side or there over on the porch. So it's enough.
Look at this rotate come out from NRG. It's going to be like a 4v4 B hit right now.
And Marky will be the first one to get into the battle here now as they do push themselves back in. Shots aren't really there though, and he was the only one on the site. So now they've got full control. They're trying to go for a quick boost up on Daps, and it's working too. Nobody's paying attention to this one. So he sneaks in 2 kills and quickly dives back down below the smoke. Peter finding another kill, and now it's NRG that have the man advantage here. And CLG, they're going to try to change it up again. This could work though, as Cutler is going in right now for free. And because of how slow NRG are retaking B, they're not even going to realize it until it's too late.
So CLG went A there, threw stuff, made it 4v5, saw that Pete was opping B, took him like 20 seconds to realize, or not B, sorry, A, that Pete was opping A, so it's probably only one person B. Then by the time they're running back to B, because it took them so long to realize that, NRG fully stacks it, and then they go back to A with 2 people. They're just playing around the world.
And now they've been able to waste a good like 20 to 30 seconds in the after plan here too, because of NRG having to go for this full on rotating into positions. But they're going right back into the site. However, CLG have better positioning against them. 1-1 now, 2-1 in the favor of CLG. FNS though can't get that last shot against Peter, and he comes out big in the clutch yet again. That has to be his like 3rd or 4th clutch overall on these 2 maps, as he's put NRG up on the match point.
Absolutely. I mean, strat roulette going on from CLG. No, I'm just kidding.
Every time you get a kill, you have to go to the other site.
Yeah, that's what you play in your ranked D- games.
Yeah, probably.
Is it really a D-?
Yeah, it's legitimately a D-.
And you can't go lower than that.
I'm pretty sure it's the lowest. Yeah. It's just a rough life, man. Doesn't help when you got into the game late.
Really, your Guild Wars and World of Warcraft prowess didn't translate into CSGO success.
No, not at all. I didn't even play any previous versions of CS. So. I think I played like jailbreak servers and Source. That was it.
Oh, were they like where you play like Simon Says?
Yeah, like stuff like that. Yeah. And that was like after CSGO was already out.
I will cast the game, Blue.
All right, well,
15-13.
Getting into it. Nothing's going on right now. They're just forming up for a take. CLG basically just sitting at the edges of B, but they are going to go directly for this. And again, it's the same thing as before, where they have Cutler watching out for the flank a little bit here. He's very quickly going to fall back to regroup, but the good timing on the Molotov from the CTs actually holds them back. Ricky knows that he's got Peter on the crypts, though, as he peeked a little bit early, so they can kind of weigh against that here now. And I think even Peter realizes that, so he changes up his own position a little bit. Marky can't do a whole lot here from Nubox, and I think Peter misses that flashbang. 1-1 on the way in, though, as they wasted a lot of time, so Daps was able to rotate back in. There's Peter once more. Ricky just jumping into the open, and Peter knows the bomb's playing on the other side, so he tags one of the players for about half of HP through it there. That's going to bring Kusta down very low. In fact, way more than half, 26. That Molotov probably was not meant to go there, as it does cover up the CT's own path to go back in. And Fugly also waiting on a flank here too. He will still have to deal with Cutler, and this position over on Banana was actually a huge deficit against them before. Kusta finding that pickup, Cutler with another one. It's down to Peter and Fugly, and with Peter falling, now it's just on him. He's going to rush right back into this. He knows where at least one of them is hiding out over here towards Emo, but unfortunately walks into a cross spray, and that allows for CLG to find a 14th, taking us to the 30th round on the map.
Yeah, I thought that was a huge blunder by Ricky, just jumping out into PTR's off when he knows exactly where he is. But that 3v4 retake was held very nicely by Kusta. They knew both players were emo, but you know, Fugly just a little bit late into the play. But he did get that kill at B that he kind of failed on earlier. Now it looks like there's one player Arch, one under Porch, one Pit, one Site. So a little bit of an A stack here. CLG just kind of taking it slow. Kind of spotting it out, seeing if there's any B aggression. They don't see any, so Ethan and Kusta both going to kind of walk up, take control. And if they scout B here, they should know that Marky's playing by himself and end up winning the round. This is just, it's basically just a risk by NRG. It's saying, hey, you know what, we have bad guns, so let's take a risk. And if they go A, we probably have like a, you know, 65, 70% chance of winning the round, right? They push back B, and now Dap's rotating back to B, so now they're more spread out. And I actually think that hurts their chances of winning the round. I think it's a lot better to just take the risk.
And Peter is going to get a little bit aggressive there as he moves inside a boiler. So immediately it's CLG up at the advantage here to start things off, and only 2 on either site. They're not going to overreact and early rotate against this one either. So it's basically 2 players trying to defend that against the world here. With CLG having every avenue to push into either site. It's basically their own pick. And in fact, they do, at a last moment decision here, do decide to put an extra guy on A, which means Marky's the only guy up to bat here to defend B. And while he was doing good at the beginning of this half, he has fallen off quite a bit. Normally only getting, you know, like 1 kill and immediately getting traded back out. Daps is kind of on his way back, but it's too slow. He's not really going to be able to find the impact here. Either CT's going to get smoked out, or they're already going to have site control. They don't realize that Marky was up on top, but again, as I mentioned before, it's one and done for him. Daps goes spraying through the smoke, and that's not going to end up working out. Fugly's the last man standing. They will get the bomb to the site in time, in case you were worried about that. But for Fugly, unless he can somehow clutch 1v4 with starting off with a 5-7, this is more than likely going to end up in overtime.
I don't understand why you like pushing a boiler there with a P250 when that first kill. First off, if you get that kill, like you still might not win the round, right? It's still probably pretty 50-50 just because of how the, you know, economy is. But if you die there, you're essentially probably losing the round, right? You're not going to win 4v5 when you just have like umps and a couple 5-7s, right? So, like, if you look at it mathematically, you're saying he's pushing into boiler when they're all set up and they're not doing any sort of a take, right? His chance of getting that kill have got to be like well under 50%, right? Mm-hmm. So don't you think that basically means you have like a 40% chance to get that kill? If you don't get that kill, you probably lose the round like 80% of the time. If you do get that kill, maybe you still win the round like 50-50, right? Whereas if you're just playing like a stack or something like systematic that you can kind of do like that, then all of a sudden your chances of winning the round are like, you know, maybe 40-50%, right? So it's like, it's just the odds are not with you to make that play.
And taking a gamble like that pretty much sells it against the guys from NRG. It allows CLG to make the full-on comeback and take us up to the tie score of 15-15, which means now, ladies and gentlemen, this does end up going to overtime here, and it'll be relatively standard rules as far as overtimes are concerned here in CS. It is going to be MR3, a sequence of 6 rounds total, with each team playing 3 per side. You need to win at least 4 out of 6 of those rounds to win it, or you'll get reset, and you'll just do it all over again until one team can win at least 4. And of course, on each half, you'll start off with $10,000. So you don't have to worry about too many economical issues unless you're on the CT side. It still gets a little bit rough there if you lose the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
But just waiting for the players to ready up here now, and then we should be able to jump into it. And as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, this is not our only matchup for tonight. We are going to be having the Optic game coming up directly after this one, so do be sure to stick around after this map's conclusion, and we'll jump into it.
Do we know who's playing for Optic yet?
Yeah, I think
Freakazoid?
I think we're cool to say, yeah. So it is going to be Freakazoid, I think, filling in
they
for
all,
Optic there.
Vendetta and Stunna flexed, and it was the cue to make
I didn't know if we were okay to
Freakazoid.
say it. I didn't know if we were supposed to hold it for the match or something. But yeah, we have the stats up on screen here too for the players if you want to take a look at that.
I think Stunna should have like pushed Vendetta, and I would have thought Bullyzoid. That'd been a good clue too.
But yes, it will indeed, guys, be Freakazoid in case you are curious, filling in for Optic this evening. There is some question about who is actually going to be taking his spot because of Hiko tweeting a little bit earlier that he wasn't going to be standing in anymore. Obviously, the 5th slot for Optic has been in quite a bit of contention recently after the sudden removal of Stanislav from the primary squad. They had Peacemaker filling in for like one game after Hiko's trial period had ended, and then that obviously didn't go so well. Then they brought Hiko back for like 1 or 2 games, and now he's out again, so at the moment, it seems like Freakazoid may be filling that gap, although that at the moment, as we're aware, is just going to be a temporary stand-in for tonight. We don't know how long that is going to continue for, if it will go through beyond tonight.
Just sucks for Optic, man. It's like they get this roster, they perform really well, but before they even got that roster where they picked up Tarek, like, I mean, you know, Daps is a good player. I just don't think he's on that level of Optic. Right? And then they finally get a good roster, and now, you know, once again, they just have a bunch of roster issues. It's like this never-ending cycle of just never having a 5th.
Stay on the snake. It's rough the way that turned out, unfortunately. So, yeah, and like I kind of talked about this a little bit with metas when we had Katowice going on too, is because of how sudden it seemed his departure was. It didn't really seem like they had a whole lot of time to prepare for him leaving the team either. So in terms of like strategies and whatnot that Optic had on T side, which was probably their biggest issue overall, and it still continues to be their biggest issue now, you know, they kind of lost everything. So now it just seems like they're starting off from scratch, and most of their T sides seem pretty basic after they lost him.
Freakazoid just tweeted me, said, "Damn Bullyzoid coming back." Oh, man. I think one of my YouTube titles is Freakazoid teaches Days how to bully on Inferno. Actually. But, yeah, I mean, for Optic, it's like, I think Stan joining Liquid really shows just how much of an impact he makes just upon, like, a team, right? Because, first of all, Stan's, like, really clever. The way he thinks about the game is a little bit different than everyone else. And it kind of just gives a different look to everyone else. But, you know, we're watching Liquid play. We watch them all the time when we cast them. And they're just really solid, man. They do the right rotations. They take the right risks on CT side. They play very properly on T side, like especially in 3v3s and whatnot. And it's just a really nice, you know, thing to watch. And I think a lot of credit has to be given to Stan for how Liquid is playing. And it just shows how just absolutely valuable, you know, he was to Optic with how they're performing now, and how Liquid looks to me like they are performing now. Like, I think Liquid is a really good team right now. I really do. I think like they could go deep in tourneys and you know, maybe make some like semifinals or things like that, and could be a threat to really beat any team just off what I see when we cast.
Well, finally, guys, it does look like we are getting into overtime here. So let's focus back on this match, CLG versus NRG, going into overtime for a second match. It was NRG that claimed the first map on Overpass, and now here on Inferno, it is being taken here to overtime. So we take a look here at the opener here. Both teams actually got rather aggressive towards Banana, but it is the CTs that end up getting the better of it after everything is said and done. I don't think CLG is going to push beyond that smoke, but Marky, nice spot on the Kusta. He's able to take him down. This is like a quarter of his HP falling back.
One of the things that you notice is that usually the rotator for them, when they rotate out B, it's almost always PTR. He's always the one rotating with an op. Usually you don't see that. Usually you see the guy opping, holding B. But Marky's like the one that holds it and then PTR rotates. So that's like a different look than most people probably don't expect. Obviously has its benefits, has its you know, negatives, but you know, against CLG, it's looking great. So
yeah, and at the moment, again, CLG kind of just walking into their own deaths, it seems, a lot of the time. Fugly even given the time to recover a new gun and kind of get bailed out a little bit by Breezy, so nothing gets done at all there from CLG. And that's
I gotta say, Ricky
NRG.
has been struggling these past 2 games. Like, he has not looked comfortable at all. You know, just kind of hybriding, opping, then rifling. Just seems uncomfortable, getting caught out of position a lot. Not fully aware in like the situations and the roles that he's in, which is perfect for CLG because it fits like their whole atmosphere quite well.
It just seems to
I feel like, yeah. Oh my.
That just seems to be like the constant struggle for CLGs. That was Kusta's problem for so much time. And we even saw it, again, I haven't been keeping too much of an eye, but it does seem like Kusta's got the up on his hand for most of the time here on this map now. Even though we saw, I think it was Ricky that got the up on the first couple gun runs back on overpass.
Yeah, like they were double upping on overpass a lot,
but it just seems to be weird in that they can never get the right rolls that they need on the full roster here. As we do see a bit of a boost up coming in from Breezy to try and spot over top. I'm amazed he hasn't been... Oh, you just can't see him. He's just below the smoke. There we go, though. It fizzles in a way that works out for them. Cutler, nice response, though. He does find Breezy before he's able to get himself back out of there and behind coverage. So we go right into another 4v4. And this is something that CLG really struggled with before, where they kind of just went directly at it. But now, as we wait to see how CLG are going to follow through with this, they actually don't continue the pressure onto A. They just end up falling back and going over here onto Banana instead, where Peter's going to spot it, but again, the first shot doesn't really make a connection, and now they're going back towards A again. Daps will find Cutler in this route, taking him down, and the rest of CLG, again, back in through that choke point. They're going to try to push their way over here on towards A. Marky's the only one waiting here. They thought that this was going to be 100% due to Peter's spot, but he may have overcalled it now because it is just going to be split 2 for 2. 20 seconds left, though. Marky has to hold on. This time, you know, too, Marky's changed his position over here towards A. Kusta will trade that back out. Fugly trying to tap away from the pit, but it doesn't work. Good news is they traded enough to where Kusta's now alone in a 1v2. He's got a full 12 seconds here, so the bomb timer is not going to go against him. He'll be able to get that onto the ground, but already being down at 42 HP. We can see Daps just really waiting for Peter to get into a good position. They really have all the time in the world here. Both have kits as well. So money's looking good. And Kusta really just having to check both angles. This is going to be a rough clutch for him. Looks away at the wrong moment. That's going to lead to his death. And NRG once again close out the round and push forward to 17.
Yeah, great team round by them. That, that round just as a team. A really nice boost. You're seeing that more and more often on Inferno on that arch side. Just anytime that comes up, a lot of people are boosting over it. Color pretty luckily gets that kill like right through the smoke, right? Because they were actually even more aggressive on the smoke. They actually pushed up even closer. But it's becoming more and more common on Inferno to do things like that, where you just boost over smokes. You see it at B with that new ledge. You could do it at Porch. You could do it at Arch. Like, there's so many different spots that you could do it. You could even do it here at middle, where you boost an opper over and look towards T steps. So it's just like another wrinkle that you really just have to watch for. And a lot of teams are doing this just randomly throughout the half to just try to make it 4v5 or get a cheeky kill.
So now with a group of 5 all together here too. They don't have one sitting back away looking over here towards Banana. They are going to try to push their way just directly in towards A. Daps already finding himself a little bit of HP set against him here as he's down at 56 after his initial confrontation here. But out goes the smoke. Oh, perfect timing on the Molotov, but thankfully the smoke does kind of destroy it there. So he's still free to kind of push back out if he wants to here on the balcony, but he's actually probably going to call that back off. Molly into Boiler here too, but that's not going to do a whole lot of damage as they're now falling back to set up their own smoke, so this should fade away by the time they're going in. As they do deploy things here. Again, 50 seconds remaining, so they're doing this a little bit early, but the problem is they made this obvious right from the get-go, so NRG are going to rotate in. Good initial shot from Ricky. It's quickly traded up by Fugly. Ethan with a good find against Daps, though, and they follow it through with another one on the Fugly, so all that's left alive are these B rotators. It'll be the third round, so we'll see some attempt at a retake, but it's not going to be that great, unfortunately, as CLG actually do find most of their marks when it comes to the entries this time and get into the A site relatively clean. The biggest problem they have is now these smokes and whatnot are fading away. They have nothing for the post plant.
Yeah, but, this site, you really don't need any nades. You have such solid crossfires. This guy, Graveyard and Sight, should be able to kill anybody. They should be able to kill both of these guys relatively easily.
Molly going back to pit there to try and burn them back out, and there's the one for Graveyard. Marky just misses the shot outright. So it's 2-1 on the half in the favor of NRG, meaning that NRG will now need to win 2 of these 3 rounds here to be able to close it out, and it'll need to be a straight 3-round streak from CLG if they want to take it.
Yeah, and in my opinion, on that site at A, when you're playing post plant on the T side, it's many times, especially when you're in an advantage situation, to just never throw a nade after that. Like, use your nades at the start, give like the smoke up. If you have a re-smoke, go ahead. But if you have like flashes or anything like that, I don't even think it's good usually to throw like flashes in like a 4v2 like that, because the crossfires are just so ridiculous. Like that guy Graveyard in Sight, I mean, there could be 3 players coming up Moto, and they're probably just those 2 guys would probably kill all 3 of them. Like, that's how strong of a crossfire it is. So by throwing nades all the time, you end up like giving your position away. You kind of add an unknown factor to it, where the angles themselves are just like foolproof. If you just sit there and you sit in a crossfire like that, it's just not, you're not going to lose the round. the troubling thing for me though, throughout like watching CLG is like the improvement on CLG. Where does it come from, right? Because a lot of the time they're not losing rounds because they're whiffing shots, right? They're not losing rounds because they're throwing bad flashes or nades a lot of the time. A lot of the time they're losing rounds because they literally will just like look the opposite direction of where someone's coming. Like these small mental errors, like that just seem really difficult to fix.
Those arrows hopefully will have to fade away here now, as we need to see one of these teams come out on top. Getting into the second half of OT, it's now NRG on the T side, and immediately another battle being found. A bit of an awkward one due to the smoke deployment yet again, but a bit of an awkward battle over there towards Banana, and really NRG just posting up for a moment to make sure nobody from CLG goes too crazy and just rolls right out there. It's really only Ricky playing together, and I think he's alone. Yeah, he's playing this one alone right now, just really trying to hold them back as long as he can due to that. Keep in mind that I think that the way they changed the box and everything like that too, I don't think he can get smoke support from the other site anymore to try and block that back off. So if they take him down and follow through with a quick push up to the site, they're really not going to be able to hold that back any further. The smoke assist or anything of that nature.
Yeah, and they're kind of running into that same issue though, because Ricky fell back at B at about 50 seconds. He has no vision over that all of a sudden, right? And look where Bomb's going. 3 guys are going back B. He has no vision, and he also has no nades at all. Kusta's the rotator with the op. So if they hit this early enough, a spawn smoke completely takes him out of the game, and all of a sudden it's a full retake on B.
And immediately they're going to sneak back in here before the smoke has even gone out as well. And Kusta, unfortunately, as you said, is not really going to be able to contribute besides trying to just shoot some pot shots through the smoke and hope he meets a connection. Ricky doesn't find a single kill on the site. He goes down, and there you go.
You see what I mean? He just doesn't seem comfortable there. When he's there at Spindle, or now we're calling it Coffins, as Breeze pushes into the construction, makes it 3v5. Again, this is going to be almost impossible for CLG to retake. You know, if I was them, I might even save. Because, you know, if you want to win this next round and then the next round, but, you know, anyways, you can go for it, just die, 3 left alive for NRG. But my point is, when Ricky's there, the solo site player, you don't try to do too much when you're the solo site player. He's trying to do too much. He's spotting, and he's also trying to get kills. All he really should do there is get that 1 kill and fall back to construction, especially in that spot. Instead, he's just trying to do too much. He just does not seem comfortable. Now he picks up the op. Maybe we'll see more comfort levels, you know, come back to him now that he has this op, which, you know, he has mained for so long.
Kusta looking out early on here, but not going for the full swing peek. There's way too many variables if he goes for that one. Well, they may be able to get the guy hiding out there in the mini pit halfway up through mid. He could also just get taken down by guys on the other side if he continues to stay out there for too long. And now, after seeing what happened there on B in the last round, CLG have gone for a complete stack of 3 players sitting here. They even try to boost up on top. It does phase Ricky a little bit here, but now he just goes for shots through it. They know where he's boosting up from. Daps jumps over the second one. The first one did hit, though. It knocks off about half of his HP, and now that's going to cause the rest of NRG to freeze here for a moment.
And this is smart by them. If you notice, they didn't throw the smoke because they want them to fight them.
Well, Cutler's going to be surprising here as the second player to jump up from sandbags. They already managed the first one. That's a great nade, though, that moves in and brings Daps down to 18 HP. And overall, it will be enough to send them back down Banana and into an A hit. Speaking of which, as they do lead up to that, Marky already taking down Kusta here. Ethan is going to just change positions to go over towards the site, which means he actually has a lot more vision in terms of what's actually going on out there. If any of these guys peek into the open, Ricky's the only one that's left to defend this, but he's got the crossback over there from the porch angle, so if they do try to push in, the problem is with him watching the porch angle, they're going to move up close, but they're also being loud, so he can swing in. Unfortunately, swings far too wide out, and now Ethan's got to go huge. He does, though, gets 2, traded out by Marky, and Peter also gets himself in here, so now it's a 2v1, with Cutler being that 1 over here on CLG, and he's still so far away as well. It's going to take him another, like, 15 seconds to get into position, unless he just goes right over here through Moto, which seems to be the better path for him.
He needed to walk, though. I think because he ran, he has no chance of winning this round.
They already know he's somewhere beyond the smoke. The smoke is in the way a little bit as he looks for Marky here. Gets him, but his other opponent... Oh, no! A missed shot, and now he's got a chance, but Peter recovers it. And that will allow for NRG to close out in OT. A straight streak with 1 little miss mark there in OT, but they do end up taking it. And with that, they will end up 2-0 on the evening here in this set.
Yeah, and just, I don't know, I think Ricky just did not look very comfortable. I know what he's capable of as a player. I've seen him play many times. He's super talented, but he's just in a role. I mean, you're going from a main opper to the main B player on Inferno. That's like, that is literally polar opposites role-wise. Yeah. Like, absolute polar opposites, and was really struggling there for CLG. But a good game nonetheless from everybody involved. CLG looked better there on Inferno than they did on Overpass, just like not making like just these ridiculous mistakes over and over again. So I commend them for that. But Ricky, like when we saw him at the spindle, right? When he's trying to spot like that, generally when you spot, a lot of the time it's because you have a teammate with you. If you're by yourself and you're just playing retake, do you really need to spot that much? You could just say, hey, Kusta, CT spawn's open. You could just op it like that so he knows they could push, and just did not look comfortable overall. But yeah, let's see what our analysts have to say.
Yeah, so let's send it back over to them to close the discussion on our first match here.
Hey, thanks, guys. Going into OT on that one, I don't think we could have seen it even going to OT.
No, for the longest time, I expected NRG to kind of close that out. A bit of a role reversal in terms of how the first map played out. CLG obviously played really well on their CT side, positionally and strategically on Overpass. Going into Inferno, I thought NRG had a pretty decent start. They were just struggling by dealing with anti-ecos. That was really the big downfall of them. That's what led CLG back into the game. For the better part of it. So I guess in the end, we kind of end up with what we expected, but definitely not, didn't progress as we would have thought.
Not even, not even in a little bit.
Yeah, no, not even a little bit. And obviously CLG coming back off the back of ecos is obviously not something you can rely on.
Well, we're going to take this time now to take a look at round 13. An NRG B exec here. Walk me through this one, Vendetta.
Well, yeah, this is one of the B executes where they're going up against pretty much an eco. You can see Cutler's bought up an op, and that was pretty much the entire investment, barring Ethan's pistol and head armor. But in this kind of situation, NRG still have a lot of utility. You can see Peter is sitting on a Molotov. They're just going to go throw down behind new boxes, but it's just the disjointment of NRG's take here in this situation. You have Marky walk peeking into the angle initially, and this is after they spotted up a boost from the CLG side earlier in that round, and they're still taking such a slow take on it. I have no idea why they actually opted to be this passive about it and this timid with how they took that B bomb side, and you can tell that even with the nades and utility they had, it just wasn't placed well enough to the point where they actually cleared out corners and made that retake easy for them. And as a result of that, CLG able to rotate around in plenty of time to the point where they're on site, sure, but Daps left with 5 HP, bomb's not back, or not planted by that time. CLG has the entire rotation in place.
And a very interesting point to be made here is that it would appear the NRG hasn't played an official matchup on Inferno in 3 months.
Yeah, so since the new one came out, pretty much, but like we said in the pregame, the fact that Inferno used to be such a staple of CS while it was in the map pool, I think it's safe to say that it is a map that they want to have as a part of their map pool going forward, and you can tell that they have practiced it. Obviously, they're not as polished as they would like to be, but you could tell that they had strategies and whatnot, and setups and different things that they wanted to vary throughout the match. So. It's not something they played a ton in officials, but they still know how, they have an idea of what they want to do.
Right, which is, having an end game in mind is the plan. Well, if you did miss that matchup, you can head over to youtube.com/ESLCS to watch the VOD. And even the map before that, we did see Overpass also go in favor of NRG. But we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have Optic, and we're going to have Rush battling out on 2 maps. We'll be right back.